carried on with the pergola, and today I've managed to get the top rails on with the help of Des again, and I've also managed to get the hardcore down, and Des has helped me a little bit with that as well. So a big thanks to Des for that. As you know, I've been struggling with my arm. I have had a steroid injection, so that's helping a lot, but there is still pain there, and it's still difficult to lift my arm up in the air, so that's why I struggle at the moment. But we'll not talk about this. This is not a medical YouTube. This is a YouTube about this Telegraph Pole Pergola. And I wanted you to see where I've got with it. So as you can see, I've used what we call MOT Type 1, which stands for Ministry of Transport Type 1 hardcore, and that's because they use these on the British roads. They use this type of product because it compacts really well. Now, I haven't compacted this at all. I've not bothered. There's absolutely no point on here. Should I wish to do it, I would get a whacker plate and we would go for it, and we would make it a little bit more firm. But what I tend to do nowadays is just leave it alone, and I let the rain do its job. And that compacts it over time. Now, if you're in a rush, which I'm not really in a rush, then you should really get yourself a whacker plate and whack that down. And it makes it a little bit more stable. But over time, that's going to do the same thing with the wind, the rain, and everything else. So it shouldn't make any difference. And if you're trying to save money, that's the best way of doing it. So it's looking great. Now, what I've used on top of what I said before, which are the half-round posts. Now, they're not completely finished at the moment. So I'm trying to protect my arm a little bit by doing it in little phases. And that's what I've done today. Now, as we walk through, you'll notice that it kicks off. Just there. That is deliberate. It's had to do that because of the way I built it. And I partly wanted to make it look a bit bizarre, because that's what I do. And that had to be done because the posts didn't line up properly when I did it before. Now, maybe I could have spent more time and got those absolutely perfect, but to be quite honest with you, it's going to make no difference long term, because remember, this is a climbing frame for plants. So anything I do at the moment to make it perfect in another couple of years is going to make no difference whatsoever, because the plants will cover it. So I don't get tied up anymore in the perfection that I used to do. So if I went back 20 years, I would say, that has to be perfect. I'm not happy with it. It's got to come out. And I would do it. But now I'm a bit older and I don't bother. I just do what I do. So I'm really happy with it. It's really coming on nicely now. I intend to get the gravel as well next week. I really want this to compact down a little bit quicker with the rain, and hopefully I shouldn't really be saying that, but hopefully we'll get a bit of rain and it'll help wash it in. If not, another good way of doing it is just to get an hose pipe out and just water it, and then it helps to compact it. Or I go and spend, about 40 quid and get myself a whacker plate, which will consolidate it, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather spend that £40 somewhere else. So we'll have a wander from here, we'll have a look at it from here. And as you can see, it is looking really nice. And the reason that the tops are blacker than the telegraph poles is because I've treated them. And we've creosoted those, and that's to give them a bit more longevity. Although they were already treated, I know from personal experience that they will last a lot better if they're treated by myself. So that's what I've done. So although that looks quite raw and new at the moment, just imagine that when there's some plants growing over it. And remember, I've got 3 types of plants growing up there at the moment. So in no time at all, that will be covered. And a lot of that structure will simply disappear in summer, whereas in winter, the leaves will fall off the climbers and it'll be all exposed. But we will have a network of climbers going all over it. So quite excited by that. So the Bux's sempervirens, which is the box edge there, has a long way to go yet. There's a lot of growing. I can't speed that process up, but it shouldn't take too long for that to catch up. Now, eventually, the Bux's will look like this. that section there. It's going to look just like that, and that's fantastic. And I cut my edges like this. I do an almost pyramidal shape to them, as you can see, to give them that look. And I've done that at the last three gardens, rather. And it's all to give it this weird and interesting look. I'm not being clever, it's just an easy thing to do. And it just all adds interest, as you can see from there. So it's all a bit of a mess at the minute around here, and that's just because I'm still working on it, and I tend to leave things as they are until I've completed. And the reason I do that is because if you leave it a mess right till the end and then tidy up, it suddenly comes to life at that point. So let's take a walk up this section on the boardwalk, and let's see it from here, see what it looks like. So you can see there's a viburnum bodnantense there that's still in flower. That's been flowering for 2 months now, that, if not 3. And that's looking great. The viburnum bodnantense is that one there. And that's looking really good. So from here, it's looking really nice. So I'm on the shack deck at the moment, stood here, and that's what I'm looking across at, and that's the view I get. So imagine that when it's covered in climbers, it's just going to look superb. I mean, it looks great now. I'm so happy with it. Now, somebody's recently said to me, would I do a walkthrough again and highlight all the sections that I've done? Well, I will do that for you at some point. Not yet, because I've got so much to do at the moment that I need to concentrate on more, and I'd rather do a nice walkthrough and a full explanation on each area so that you get an idea. But I do take you along on the journey, and that's what I've done all the time as I've built things, and then at some point I will go for the full walk, so that'll probably be half an hour, if not an hour. So we'll take a walk through it, and at this point I'm going to say, somebody once said to me that they thought it was quite high. In fact, once it was said 2 weeks ago that it was quite high, and I had to point out to them that I wanted it to be comfortable to walk under, because once those plants start drooping down, as they inevitably will, then I don't want them to catch the plants on their head. And don't forget, some of these could be roses, different roses in the future that could have thorns. The one I'm using is a thornless one, but in the future, I don't know. There could be other things put up, which I intend to put up. Now, this is one of the roses. So that rose is going to take a while before it actually gets up that post and then starts going on the top. Now, while we're up there, I'm looking at the top. As I said, you can see there's 2 posts on the top at the end there. They're curved. That's deliberate. That has to happen because that's the way the posts are put in the ground. So this is to follow the natural curve of the posts. It's looking okay to me. So we'll go from this end. It's not finished, as I said. I've still got the ends to cut off and sort out. And then what I'm going to be doing as well, which I've not said yet, is between the posts, I'm going to be putting 2 lines of barbed wire. The thin barbed wire that I've used before are going to go in between both of them, running up. So that gives the plants a lot more options of where they can run. In fact, looking at it now, I could go left to right as well, to be quite honest. In fact, to be quite honest, that might be the better option, to take it left and right onto the tops of the posts. But anyway, we'll give that some thought. So it's looking great. I'm happy with it. Putting this hardcore down is not easy. I've used 3 bags, and we'll show you what size they are. They are actually that size there, but they're already used, so these are them there. And there's just a little bit left in that bag there, and that's just to top up should it need it. Sometimes you get little divots and little sections that drop, and you have to refill those. So it's looking brilliant at the moment. So spring ain't far away. Well, spring's actually already here, I guess. But nothing is growing away too quick because it is very cold. We've got an easterly wind blowing here at the moment, and that is cold. So that section there's working better now, where the wheelbarrow is. That was a little skinny path, if you can remember. And it is working way better now. And then that path brings you to here, which takes you down there. And once the grass starts growing a bit quicker, that'll look a lot more attractive. And I always say to you, don't worry about putting ivy up things, because ivy is a very useful plant. This one here is called Edrohelix buttercup. And as its name suggests, it is a buttercup colour. It's a bit wishy-washy today. The light's not great and they're still baby plants. They're going to be planted up that post there. That one's going up there. So that'll grow up there with no problem at all. Easy to control, these ivies. And then that one will be there, growing up that post. Now, I've not yet finished putting stuff up these posts, but I have to be careful again, because remember, I've got plants that could easily cover that on their own. So I have to be careful how many more I do put up here. But remember, once the box edge gets going and the plants start growing in these borders, this is going to be really nice. It's going to have a really secluded feel as you walk through here. And I'm quite excited. And don't forget that miscanthus, the really tall one, Lutaria riparius, which is in there. That really will set it off when it starts growing. You can see, I don't know if you can make them out. In fact, let's get closer. You can see the little red spears coming up. And they're all the new leaves coming up. And remember last year, this plant from this section here and from this chop down phase made 14. I think it actually made 15 foot. But the official measurement was 14. But I think it made 15. So we've got all that to look forward to, and it's gonna all add to the look of this pergola that I'm really enjoying making, and I hope you're enjoying watching me do it. This is the second YouTube video on it, and I will inevitably do another one very shortly. Any questions, fire away. I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da.